Headkrack's Hip Hop Spot, and in my hands, I am holding a book. Now, people are probably like, whoa, a book? I haven't seen one of those since I was in school. Well, you still read when you leave, man. This joint is called The Art Behind the Tape, and I have the people who brought this book together for you in the studio right now. Miss Ty St. Boogie, Mr. DJ Mars, and my man Bril. This is a piece of work here, guys.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Now, what made you decide to do a whole entire book dedicated to the art of the mixtape and just like the culture? Because it's kind of a lost art now.
Well, the simple answer is there wasn't a product out there like that prior to us making the book. We knew there was a void in the marketplace, and we knew culturally the audience wanted to hear the story. I mean, I don't care who you are. I'm 42. My son is 14. We both listen to mixtapes. You know what I mean? So the culture encompasses the demographic from left to the right. So we just knew that the audience would want to hear about it and read about it.
And the crazy thing is, like, everything is so digital now. Like, like it seems like people have less of a respect for things that they can't pick up in their hands and hold.
Yeah.
Like, like you got tons of MP3s on your computer, but like there's nothing like picking up a physical copy of something and being able to hold it. Do you feel like the mixtapes that have been released, let's say like in the last 10, 15 years since the rise of the digital era, will hold as much weight or last as long as like some of the mixtapes that came out in the late 80s, early 90s? Because there's still joints from the 90s that people still talk about to this day.
You're right.
The thing is that the people still talk about them, but they don't have their copies anymore. When you read the book, a lot of the DJs even that we talked about, a lot of the DJs that we talked to don't have the originals of their stuff. Or like we talked to Slim Thug, he doesn't have any more of his original covers. So even though we're losing kind of that physical, the having it in your hand, or the art of like going through the, for actual CDs, going through the liner notes or whatever, at least now you have the ability to keep them. Because I don't know how many mixtapes I have at the crib that I still refuse to get rid of, but like the disc is see-through, you can't play it anymore. You go to the DJ and ask them for that one song that you wanted that was at the end of the mix, they don't have it anymore because none of us thought to preserve this.
And that's weird because I'm like, I guess I should work at a museum because I have every cassette tape mixtape that I've ever purchased ever.
So
I almost got arrested one time over a mixtape.
Wow. See, to kind of give the flip side to her answer to your question, you asked if the tapes today hold the same weight as before. Yeah and no. Yeah, because the mixtape of 2015 is basically an artist's street album. So nobody's going to get rid of Drake's So Far Gone. Like, nobody's going to get rid of Drake and Future's new mixtape. They're really street albums, but they're called mixtapes. So today, that's what holds their value. The value of Ron G mixes 1 through 10 was the blends that he was creating, which created the subgenre of hip hop and the R&B mashups. Like for somebody like me, that holds dear to my heart. So depending on who you're asking, a kid today, a Drake mixtape is more valuable than a Ron G tape. But to me, a Ron G tape is more valuable because those tapes and that style of DJing taught me how to DJ.
Word. Now, bro, you've been kind of quiet over there. Like, what was the first gem that you stumbled across, like, in your hip-hop travels that, like, made you really pay attention to, like, the whole mixtape game and just the culture as a whole?
Just being a fan of, like, DJ Clue. I mean, he was, like, the first big mixtape, being from California. Mixtapes wasn't big out there, but hearing about DJ Clue and then hearing about his professional album and then finally going back and getting those classic mixtapes, so Summertime Stick-Ups, the classic, mixtapes where, the Benjamins was on, the Biggie records he leaked, a lot of stuff like that. So those are the DJs I really mess with heavy. DJ Clue, J Period, Ron G, of course. Going back and listening to classics like that, that's the stuff I like to listen to.
The Clue tape was a tape I almost got arrested over. I lent it to my friend Puerto Rican Rob, who lived in the edge of the Bronx. And I was like, I was getting ready to leave New York to move to Texas. So I let him hold my DJ Clue's Springtime Stick-Up. It was a joint that had the Nas Escobar season freestyle. Spark the line with the 840, I fly.
Over the different beats. His jacking for beats, basically.
Hell yeah. So like, like in the city, you get buzzed into people buildings. But like in an old building, the names is rubbed off so you don't remember what the buzz is. So like, I sat in front of dude's stoop for like, I I don't know, 30, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. I'm chilling writing rhymes, ain't bothering nobody. Some white lady upstairs called the cops on me, man. And then my man Rob Dad come downstairs, who happened to be a cop himself. He cursed me out. Like, over a fucking tape? It's like, you don't understand. But yeah, but like, you know, like if somebody did that with someone's Drake CD, they'd just like, okay, I'll just go download.
Yeah,
You know, there's
Yeah.
nothing to be passionate about anymore
nah.
because music is so disposable, it seems like now.
Well, before you had to spend the money to
Right.
get it, and then you had to, I'm not from New York, I'm from Massachusetts, so the value in getting a SNS tape was you had to, sometimes we'd have to leave Massachusetts, go to New York and get it. Then not only did we have to make the trek, you had to know where to get it in New York. One, like you could go to Tower Records downtown in the Ville to get it. No, you had to, especially someone at the time who was as localized as SNS was, you had to go to J&J Variety. You had to go to Rock and Will's on 125th Street. You had to know where to go. So not only did you have to make the physical trek, you had to be in the loop within the city to know where to actually purchase it from. And today, you're right, it's different. Everything's disposable. Yeah, you can't be mad at technology. That's just the way it is today.
Word.
The other thing too is that there was a time where you knew if there was like a new artist that was featured on a mixtape, it was somebody that you needed to hear because the DJ making that tape really felt like this artist was a quality artist that wasn't going to lessen his brand or the value of his tape. Nowadays, anybody can make it. Like will never ever claim to be a DJ at all. And even when people are like, well, now you guys are authorities on mixtapes, I'm like, I just know a lot of DJs and I've heard a few mixtapes, but I have a podcast and I make mixes and it's really not that hard for you to do. So, I think more than losing the value of the tapes itself, it's just that in general, we've kind of lessened the importance of making sure that we're putting out quality music and affiliating ourselves with quality in general.
Word. Now, what do you think is the most important mixtape that has ever been released? Something that just defined the genre. The one, the equivalent of the American planting the flag on the moon or the replica.
Man,
of the moon,
I'm sure we all have different answers. Mine, I would say it was. I wouldn't say the most important, but one super important. Ron G mixes 1 through 10 or whatever the series was numbered, because he gave that he wasn't the first blend tape DJ, but that series gave birth to the Bad Boy remix era. It gave really those mixtapes were the genesis and the origination of Mary J. Blige's What's the 411 album. I can say without those tapes, that album wouldn't have been produced the way it was,
that
because
makes a lot of sense.
The samples and the records that he used on his tapes were basically recreated for her album. So he gave birth to a whole style of R&B with his tapes. And mind you, he wasn't the first DJ. He's just the one who made it popular. You know what I mean? So in my mind, a hip hop DJ, his style of mixtapes gave birth to a style of R&B that is still banging right now. So for me, I would say Ron.
All right, what say you, Ty?
I wouldn't say necessarily the most important, but I say definitely impactful was that Little Brother's Separate But Equal Gangsta Grills. I think it completely changed the game. I think when at that time Drama was at the top of his game, Little Brother was still kind of like these backpack rappers that nobody could figure out how they made it to the mainstream a little bit, and nobody expected that partnership. And I remember people really being upset that Little Brother made a mixtape with the Gangsta Girls guy.
Yeah.
But it was so dope. The skits, the freestyles, the actual music that was on there. I still listen to not every day, but I still listen to that.
The cool thing about that tape, they didn't lose themselves in that tape.
At all.
They didn't become anything that they weren't. They maintained themselves within that format, and I think that was dope.
Right.
What say you, Bril?
I'll have to say probably Trap or Die. You said that mixtape that defines that moment. I mean, I can remember 2005, that Jeezy's buzz in the city was just beyond crazy. I remember going clubs and they just playing the mixtape, track 1 through 17, just like that. So I think Jeezy, Trap or Die, yeah, definitely. And then being that Drama, it took Drama to a whole nother level on a national level at that time. I mean, Drama was big in the South, and if you knew about him outside of, Atlanta, you knew he was a big DJ. But that mixtape, him colliding with, Jeezy at the time, was just perfect timing. So I think Jeezy Trap or Die.
And I think the cool thing about mixtapes, like the dope thing is like none of your answers were the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I think music is supposed to mean different things to different people based
None
on
was
where you
wrong
were
either.
in
None of the
life.
answers was wrong either.
Right. I was just curious to see, like, being that you guys curated this book, The Art Behind the Tape. I just wanted to see where y'all was coming from with it. I mean, because some people might like revert to the Kid Capri tapes, who masterfully, like, say if you're like, in the 90s, if you were like in your teens but wasn't really super up on R&B, Kid Capri was giving master classes on like vintage late 70s, early 80s R&B that people wasn't up on.
If you think about based on what you just said, because I come from that school of studying that style of DJing. If you go to a club right now and the DJ is playing All Night Long by the Mary Jane Girls, Before I Let Go, Frankie Beverly and Maze, regardless of whether he heard that tape, that style of mixing those records came from old school 1 and 2. Genre defining. Like I could have easily said that because it would have been right. Like old school 1 and 2 taught DJs who still use that science today how to put an old school set together.
Yeah, no, it's a Bible, if you will.
Yeah.
And then you could talk about Tony Touch, 50 MCs. You know what I'm saying? Like which got so like legally, like label wise, that probably couldn't even happen today because like they couldn't even get the cosigns from the labels to make it pop off.
Nah, same thing with Doo-Wop's 95 Live.
Bounce Squad.
Crazy. I tell WAP all the time. I feel like 95 Live was probably the best produced mixtape ever. Like this is before people were using computers to do their tapes. That tape was probably the best produced mixtape of all time.
I'm still like every now and then, like I rock back and forth in my room, just say Snaggerpuff is gonna drop out. He really is. Snaggerpuff is gonna drop out. He really is. He's just waiting. He's waiting for the time to be right.
I feel like we have to give honorable mention to Clue the Professional because I think that is the only official released mixtape that still sounded like a mixtape, but to somebody who had never heard a mixtape, it was still something that was palatable. You weren't wondering why Clue was screaming all over everything. You weren't mad at it. The skits made sense. The collaborations made sense. The beats were crazy. It was a lot of Queens music on there, so it kept that regionality to it. But the first time I heard that, I was driving back to the University of Miami campus. I was in Florida. And it felt like natural. It was nothing like anything that was on the radio in Florida at the time, but it still felt like something that made sense. So we got to definitely give that mention as well.
I agree with
And
him.
with us having this conversation being in Atlanta, like, which is so close to the East Coast, you go further down south, probably somebody's probably watching this and you're like, what about DJ Screw? Like, DJ Screw meant so much to so many people.
Genre defining for his region. Extremely important in the South. Extremely important.
And techniques he used in his tapes, like, ultimately would find its way onto production that you would hear on records when people would slow their voice down for certain parts just to make that pop, man. Like,
exactly.
Gone was influenced by
exactly.
DJ Screw's mixtape culture. So.
Word, man. So, like, let's just say, like, somebody's, like, looking for, like, a book to get. Like, why should they pick up the art behind the tape? Like,
I mean,
what sets this apart?
Because it's exclusive.
So we'll start there with her statement. Like you get stories that you've never heard before. Like all in one compact book, 240 pages, 90 interviews, thousands of images of dope DJs telling the truth. Clue, when Bril interviewed Clue said unequivocally, I was the first DJ to put a mixtape on CD. Do you know how that movement changed things? Like it changed the way we listen to music. It changed the way he marketed his tapes, because when he sent his tapes out to certain people, he sent it to a certain type of person. Clue, I remember part of his marketing strategy was to send his tapes to athletes. At that time, athletes were the only ones with the Benzie boxes in the car with the CD players. Because I used to be like, yo, how is Clue getting shout outs from all these athletes on his tape? Because he was marketing directly to them. I didn't have a CD player in my car. I probably didn't even have a car at that time. So you get this book, and the book tells the exact true right and direct history of mixtape culture. And not only is it true from the artists, the DJs we interview, it's true from the fact that you got 4 people, Maurice Garland included, who still live, eat, breathe, and sleep inside the culture. That's ultra important to us.
And to add to that, I definitely have to say that I don't think that a group of 4 writers could have gotten the kind of stories that we did. Some of these stories, like some of these stories, you see 2 pages in the book, and it was a hour-and-a-half long conversation between Mars and another DJ, because coming from a DJ standpoint, he asked questions that we might not have thought to ask, you know, as not being DJs, not being technical people. There's a lot of history in there. There's a lot of things that nobody would ever, there's a lot of guys in there that people would not have thought to talk to. So it's from the DJs to the graphic designers to some of the artists whose careers were very, very much impacted. I'm talking about from Jazzo to Slim Thug in this one book. You're not going to find that anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, yo, full color. You know what I'm saying? Deep details and stories, man.
We even got you in the book.
Yeah. Shameless plug. I'm in the book too, but like, I mean, but you guys, like, you dug deep.
Right.
Thank you,
dug
man.
deep. I got, you know, I'm in the middle of the book right now. You guys dug so deep, and a lot of people, you know, like, they make books and things based off hearsay. Mm-hmm. But to be able to talk to the pioneers, the living ones, unless you got a Ouija board, you guys put in a certain level of work, man, that a lot of people don't do, man. So you guys deserve a well-deserved pat on the back, man.
Real quick. You said the word Bible. To get the words from DJ Kid Capri, he said, you know, he called it the Mixtape Bible. He called the book the Mixtape Bible once he got the book in his hand. So to get that honor from Kid Capri, a legend like that, someone who, you know, belongs on the Mount Rushmore of mixtape DJs, that's an honor for us. So I mean, so that's the importance of what the book is.
Like, if it was an audio version, Flex would drop bombs on it. You know what I'm saying?
I'd play it in a club tonight.
Right.
Word up, man. It's the book, the art behind the tape. Where can you cop it?
You can get it directly from creator to consumer from on our website, theartbehindthetape.com. You can also follow us on social media, Instagram and Twitter @artbehindtape. That's @artbehindtape.
And they actually got like these fresh fitted hats.
Yeah,
too,
man.
Look inside. Did you look inside? No, inside the hat.
Oh yeah, I did. I looked inside the hat. It was like there's actually mixtapes on the inside of the hat. Y'all selling those on the site too?
Yep.
And they represent for the people with large heads, such as myself. Size
And
A.
we have a strap back and a snapback as well. So if you're like super dome, pause. That works for you too.
OJ Simpson could wear fitted. You know what I'm saying? It's all
I wear fitted. I'm an 8.
The art behind the tape, man. Be sure you cop it, man. DJ Mars, Ty St. Louis, Bril, thank y'all so much for coming through the hip hop spot.
Thanks for having us.
Books don't kill you.
That was a good one.
Thank you, man. Sometimes people hear